Thompson will be joining us soon. I'll go ahead and call to order this meeting of the Waste Reduction District of Monroe County Board of Directors for Thursday, February 13th, 2025. Mr. McGlasson, could you please call the roll?
Piedmont Smith.
Here.
Jones.
Here.
Thompson. Swafford.
Here.
Madeira.
Here.
Wiltz.
Here.
Thomas.
Here.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. So we have the Board of Directors meeting minutes from January 16th. Is there a motion to approve?
Move approval of the Board of Director meeting minutes for January 16th, 2025.
Second.
Okay. Any comments or corrections? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed?
I have to abstain. I wasn't present.
Okay, one abstention. Thank you. We can move on to the controller's report. Do we have Ms. Goins on?
We do. Tech Services, if Teresa Goins could be promoted to participant, please.
Presenter. Here you go.
There it is. Okay. The cash flow summary on page 5 of your board packet. The operating balance as of January 31st was $4,505,390.36. The January 31st balance for the closure bond debt was $13,338.47. The January 31st balance for the capital account was $45,954.76. The January 31st balance for the landfill post-closure account was $795,738.70. The individual cash flow statements for each of these are on page 6 through 11 of your packet, and the operating fund graph is on page 8. Are there questions on the account balances?
Are there any questions from board members? Okay, seeing none, thank you, Ms. Goins. We can go ahead with the payroll and claims.
On page 12 of the packet, you have a summary of the pre-approved payroll and claims since our last meeting in the amount of $176,981.64. The backup for those numbers on pages 13 through 35. The claims for the approval this week were sent in an email on Wednesday and are in the amount of $7,432.50. Documentation was included in the Wednesday email. This brings the total of all payroll and claims that we are recommending for approval to $184,414.14. I wanted to point out also within the board claims, we have 2 vendors not on our current approved vendor list. Ken's Westside Service and Towing and Landmark Eye Center. We plan to bring to the next board meeting an updated resolution list to include Ken's Westside Service and Towing and any additional updates for approval. The last approved vendor list was amended and approved on June 13, 2024. Are there questions regarding any of these claims?
Thank you, Controller Goins. Are there any questions about the payroll and claims? Okay, I have a couple of questions, just minor questions. So, and this may just be a matter of my own ignorance, which is, happens. But we have payment, just a $300 payment for Amerigas propane. What do we use propane for?
Well, we actually do 2 different services through them. We have the forklift at the South Walnut facility is propane or LPG powered, so we do gas through them. We also use them for the propane canisters that we accept through household hazardous waste.
So we're both paying for, I'm sorry, you said the forklift was not propane, but
LPG.
LPG, what's that?
It's propane. It's propane.
Okay.
Liquid petroleum gas.
So we are paying for both propane that we use
we're-
on our equipment, and we're paying them to
To recycle the
Recycle.
canisters that are brought to household hazardous waste.
Okay, great. My other question, so we see monthly payments to CNS Inc. for fuel. Is that for heating fuel, or what kind of fuel is that for?
The gasoline and diesel for the vehicles.
For the vehicles? Okay, all right, because our heating in, like, the administration building is electric, right?
Natural gas,
Oh, it is natural gas. Okay. Who do we pay for that?
Center Point.
Oh, right, okay. Yes, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
I'm going to go ahead and move approval of payroll and claims as presented in our packet with the additional claims added in this week's email.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved and seconded to approve payroll and claims. Any final comments? Okay, all in favor, please say aye. Oh, I'm sorry.
Sorry.
Thank you, Commissioner Thomas. Is there any member of the public who would like to comment on our payroll and claims? Seeing none. All in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, those are approved. We thank the controller for that report. Next, we have an agenda item about joint meetings between the CAC and the board. Mr. McGlasson, would you like to take that on?
Certainly. Just kind of reminder for the board and for the CAC as well that, there's a statutory requirement for the two bodies to meet jointly each year. We have historically held one joint meeting in July to review the proposed budget for the upcoming fiscal year. And then that second meeting is kind of left available for whatever issues or topics might be pertinent to the board and the CAC over the course of the year. But I wanted to bring that up this year because, as I mentioned in the memo at the executive committee meeting, our discussion on this kind of focused on the 5-year plan. That will be the 5-year plan that was adopted in September of 21 will in essence expire in September of 26, and that is something that we want to start looking at updating, revising that plan well ahead of time. So that we don't have a large gap without a plan in place.
Are there any thoughts from board members about joint meetings? So the executive committee did talk about having a joint meeting for the budget discussion in July, and then another one in the fall about the 5-year plan. But as you can see, there are some other topics that could also
There are some other topics. For those that aren't aware, it's been a few months now, but we've been talking with the city and City of Bloomington Utilities about acquiring some additional property off of the utilities department behind the South Walnut Recycling Center. In surveying and looking at all that, it was discovered that we are already encroaching on their property, apparently have been since that facility was built. And at this point, the city and utilities are both agreeable to the area that we have staked out that we would like to acquire. The staff obviously has thoughts and ideas about what could be done with that, but also thought there might, be an opportunity there for the board and the CAC to also provide input on that. The organic waste is, a topic and an issue that we've been bantering about for some time. And we do currently have an organic waste task force that is, trying to come up with ideas or pilot programs that we could look to tackle that issue with. And then also, I have always been interested in the district having a mobile app to augment, to partner with its website and social media presence. So those were other potential topics that were put out there for a joint meeting. And And I'm sorry, and just to add, this is, we're not asking for, to schedule anything at this time. We're just trying to get an idea of what their, what topics might be of interest for a joint meeting and timeframes. And then, of course, the board and the CAC will have to, determine availability and work together to schedule the time for those meetings.
Is there any other feedback or ideas for joint meetings? I would just add that, of course, the other topics that are listed in Tom's memo could be either another joint meeting, we're not limited to 2, or it could be just topics that the CAC explores and then reports back to us. There are other ways to cover those topics so we can see how it goes.
Of course, yes.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Yeah, just because we choose not to identify them for a joint meeting this year doesn't mean they fall off to the wayside and we're done with them. So.
All right, if there are no other feedback on that, we can move on to a report from the CAC. We have Joseph Winia here, Chair of the CAC. Welcome.
Thank you. Yes. Hello. There we are. Okay. So the CAC monthly activity report is on page 37 of the packet. And the main thing that we have is just our regular meeting that we had in January, during which we had elections. And we also have been discussing the, opportunity. One of the CAC members, Matthew Austin, connected with Caldwell Inc., who does organics waste processing in East Morristown. Hello? I lost my mic, sorry. So we've been discussing potential opportunities with, trying to see if we can arrange any potential services with them, and then a potential visit as well of their site, and potentially with other stakeholders in the community who might be interested in participating in organic service. That is all that I have.
All right, thank you so much. Are there any questions for Mr. Winia regarding the CAC report? So I'm interested in this possibilities with Caldwell's, but I'm ignorant in some of my Indiana geography. Where is East Morristown? How far away is that?
It's
Do we know?
Near Shelbyville.
Okay, so it's
It's a distance.
yeah.
2 hour drive, is it? Okay. So yeah, the goal would essentially be to consolidate a local collection option, and then just have roll-off containers so that they would be able to just drop it at one point in this area and then just do the one trip back and forth there, rather than doing a collecting route here, is what we've been considering so far.
Well, I would be interested if there's a visit to their processing facility. I'd be interested to participate in that. So if you could keep us informed, there might be other board members who might be available and interested.
All right, I will note that and keep you in touch.
Thank you. And thank you for stepping up to once again serve as chair.
Indeed.
Do we have any, I know that we're trying to recruit more members of the CAC. I think, do we have 6 now? Is that right?
Correct. Yep.
We can have up to 15. So
Correct.
just a reminder to everybody to let people know that there's room on the CAC. Yes, Councilor Wiltz.
I see that of the listed, it says additional interested stakeholders, you have MCCSC is identified as a possible stakeholder. Do you have anyone on the CAC from the school?
We do, yes. We have Brad Lucas, who is director of grounds, I think, or buildings.
Yeah, facilities or something to that
Facilities, that's
effect.
what it is.
Yeah.
Perfect, perfect, that's good to hear. Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions? And of course, we have Richland Bean Blossom as well in the county. So if there is, possibility of partnering with schools, we might reach out to them as well.
To that note.
All right, thank you so much. We will move on to departmental reports. We'll start with Mr. McGlasson, the Administration Department. Lots of bills.
Lots of bills. I'll first start by following up on Mr. Winia and just, anybody out there that has an interest in joining or learning more about the CAC, just reach out to me via phone or email. Happy to discuss that group. Their meetings are public. They're welcome to come and sit in on meetings before, if they want to see it in action before they make a decision on joining. And just simply you can call the district office or email me, and be happy to give them whatever information they'd like. Okay, yeah, so for us, this is a fairly busy legislative session. We've been a long time since we've had this many bills that we were trying to keep track of. So, and there was action this week on a handful of the bills that are listed in the memo, starting on page 38 of your packet. We'll start with the House Bill 1134, which originally proposed to add some topics, some issues that could be included in what could be heard in an executive session. The Committee on Government and Regulatory Reform also took this bill as an opportunity to, I guess the best way to phrase it would be to tweak, correct what they saw as deficiencies in all the live meeting streaming laws that were rushed through during COVID and stuff. So the bill was passed out of that committee amended to add requirements concerning live transmission of governing body meetings, archiving those meetings, meeting notices, public accessibility, and the amendment also included mechanisms for challenging the validity of official action taken at meetings if there was a disruption or technical issue with the video or live transmission of that meeting.
I'm sorry, Mr. McGlasson, is this one of the items on your list?
This is, yeah, the House HB 1134. This is the first bill listed.
I thought it was only about executive session.
That's what was proposed. It has been amended. And then, so that passed out of that committee with those amendments. That was also heard early this afternoon on the House floor, where the author of the bill proposed another amendment, which really just did some typographical errors more than anything, didn't change the substance of the original bill or the amendments, and that amendment prevailed by voice vote, and I would anticipate that bill will be brought back to the full House in short order for a third reading and a vote. So that's one that we'll be watching. The House Bill 1286, unfortunately, for me, probably for the district as a whole, an issue worth looking at, but that bill appears that it's not going to pass out of committee. That's not been scheduled for a hearing, along with Bill 1302 on single-use food service items. Unfortunately, it's not been scheduled for a hearing in the committee. House Bill 1312 was today, I guess the Ways and Means Committee today did issue a report on it. But the committee report was a due pass, so that will, I assume, go to the House floor in short order. House Bill 1677, another one that we're interested in. It certainly has a direct impact on current activities of the district regarding illegal dumping. And that bill had a third reading on the House floor today and passed unanimously 95-0. So, so in short, what in essence that bill does is makes many instances of what's termed illegal dumping an actual crime, a Class C misdemeanor. So that potentially would impact our environmental compliance program and the way that we enforce illegal dumping if it makes it through the Senate and is signed by the governor. Let's see. The environmental Senate Bill 349 has not yet been rescheduled for a second hearing in the Environmental Affairs Committee. I do know that the chair of that committee is the author of the bill, I believe, so I assume that he will make every effort to get that one heard again. The Senate Bill 374 has not been scheduled for a hearing committee. Senate Bill 459 did, on Tuesday, did have a third reading in the Senate and passed unanimously 48-0 and has been referred to the House. And where that impacts us is that with regard to the cybersecurity requirements for water treatment facilities, currently that is a broad definition of publicly owned treatment works, of which the treatment plant at the landfill would fall under. So that is one we are also definitely watching. And then just a couple of highlight off the bill, or my memo, just a couple of items that we have applied for a waste tire grant from ITEM that we would, it looks promising in the correspondence we've gotten from the application that we will probably be awarded that grant. We anticipate or intend to use those funds for 1, possibly 2 tire amnesty days later this year or early in 2026. And then also myself, Kayla Strand, and Mr. Winia from the CAC also earlier this week did some training with our website developer so that we now have the ability to do a lot of editing on our website. So we have a lot more flexibility with our website and the ability to more quickly make changes when they're needed. And with that, I'll take any questions.
Thank you very much, Mr. McGlasson, for tracking all those bills. Are there questions from board members? Yes, Councilor Wills.
Yeah, I really appreciate the update. And the question I had, I guess I was unaware of what the illegal dumping of items would be classified as. So you're telling me it's not a criminal issue now, but it might be.
Correct. At the state level.
Coming in at the lowest level.
Yeah, at the state level, it is not a crime. It's not really addressed in the statutes at the state level. But Monroe County does have a local ordinance that does prohibit the dumping of waste in an unapproved container or not at a landfill or a transfer facility. The Waste Reduction District is tasked with enforcing, and we do work with the county attorney's office. For those that were on the board last year, you might remember we did do a new budget line item for this year for I think what we termed court order remediations, because we have been working with the county attorney's office, and in egregious cases where we cannot get the property owner or responsible party to work with us to correct the compliance violations. We have gone to court, gotten court orders for us to do the cleanup and put a lien on the property to recoup that money when the property transfers hands. So in essence, that's how it's handled locally. It's handled more like a civil matter, not a criminal matter. And that this bill, if passed, would potentially have significant changes to how we handle that locally.
Right, and I assume those significant changes would result in having to contact law enforcement, or maybe.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I have not seen, that's not addressed in the language of the bill, and I've not heard in the review of any of the committee discussions or anything, is enforcement.
Yes, I'm guessing that enforcement might come through conservation officers instead of the traditional police department.
Yeah, I don't know, and obviously, here in Monroe County, the district feels that it has a fairly, effective program, to enforce the ordinances currently on the books, and would certainly be willing to work with whatever law enforcement agency was tasked with that enforcement to try to, expedite managing those issues when they arise.
I had a question about the land owned by City of Bloomington Utilities. Has there been any discussion of the cost, what the cost of that parcel of land might be?
No,
Not yet.
we've not talked dollar figures, no.
All right, any other questions for Mr. McGlasson? Oh.
I would add, though, that please recall that the district does currently have a cumulative capital fund with about a $45,000 balance in it. So we potentially have, money through that fund available to help with that purchase.
Yes, that's good to keep in mind. Thanks. All right. Any other questions, comments? All right, we can move on to the report from Joey Long on recycling and reuse, hazardous materials, and rural recycling centers. Is Mr. Long with us via?
He is. If we could have Mr. Long
Video.
Promoted to a presenter, please.
Hi, everyone. First off, I would like to let everybody know that we have hired a new truck driver to fill a position that we had open because Rick Serpa became our environmental compliance investigator full-time. So Simon Brown, we hired him, and we'd like to introduce him to staff. With that, I will start with the reuse and recycling. Staff has met with the Monroe County Fair Boards to offer cardboard recycling at the Monroe County Fair this year. We're hoping to set up booths to all the vendors. That way they can recycle their cardboard easier and more efficiently. The materials for the arts, I would like to say thank you to Lou Ann Carmichael and the Open Arms program. They've been using our materials for the arts program to teach young women how to do different stuff, a wide range of activities. Recently, I met with her again, and she told me that they are collecting old bed sheets and are teaching the girls how to make their own quilts, and they're really excited. They're really happy about this program, so that's always nice to hear. The hazardous materials program, staff has completed their annual HazWalper refresher training this past Monday. So we got that out of the way for the year, so that's always good. And the rural recycling centers, our vendor has completed grade work at all the sites. We've added truckloads of gravel because of the snow and the rain. We do realize that we're probably gonna have to do it again soon with some more weather coming in. It's just a constant battle with the sites. But if you guys have any questions, I'll do my best to answer them.
Thank you, Mr. Long. Are there any questions on this report? Seeing none.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Go ahead. Do you have something to add?
No, sorry.
Okay. I just wanted to add, I did look up the last year's total figures on recycling tonnage and waste tonnage just to compare. So for 2024, recycling was 2,167 tons. Last year, or for 2023, it was 2,142. So it was a bit of an increase there. And happy to say there was a bit of a decrease in the trash tonnage in 2024. It was 1,685 tons, and 2023 it was 1,765 tons. So both of those are good trends, I would say.
Yeah, with the new signage, the new bulky item program's really helping by doing it at a month's time because we're trying to guide more stuff to be reused and to be recycled. It's easier for the guys to watch stuff, that way, customers all ain't trying to hit the site at one time in a week's time. So, if you have Monroe County all trying to hit Ellisville for a week, one site operator cannot keep up. But by doing the bulky items throughout the month, we can have them out there spread out a little bit more and divert stuff from being just thrown in the trash. So we're hoping it will continue to go down.
Great, thank you.
Yep.
All right, we'll move on to landfill and environmental compliance. Mr. Lee Paulson?
Mr. Paulson is at his son's swim meet, so I'm going to fill in for him. So would note the full report for the November groundwater event was compiled, completed, and submitted to IDEM at the end of January. The results and the findings were in line with historical data and reports, so we don't anticipate anything there. This time of year is kind of slow for the compliance stuff, but I do want to shout out to IU Dance Marathon for braving the January weather and doing an Adopt a Road cleanup. So.
Indeed, that is very, very brave of them. Hopefully it wasn't immediately following an all-night dance marathon. I think they have that later. Okay, great. Do we have any 2024 end of year totals on the Adopt a Road?
I apologize. Those, yes, and those were prepared for the January meeting, and I don't know that we reviewed everything that thoroughly last month, but I can certainly have the compliance department compile some data and do some comparisons if you'd like in next month's report.
I think that would be helpful. Anybody else care to have that data?
Yeah, sure.
Yep. Okay.
Sure.
Thank you. And I'm sorry if I missed the year-end data last month. Okay. I think we are at the point of general public comment. Is there anybody in the public who would like to give comments on the Waste Reduction District and related matters? Don't everybody get up at once. Right.
See any hands up online?
Okay. Are there any final comments from directors today? No comments? All right. Well, we'll just hope that our weather doesn't get too cold. I know it's going to dip tonight, and I hope we don't go back down to the 0 like in January, because I know it's really hard on our staff out at the rural centers.
Some of the equipment, so.
Yeah, I bet. All right. Well, thank you all. We're adjourned.